Hi friends. Once Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, said, the Wright brothers created the single greatest cultural force since the invention of writing. The airplane became the first World Wide Web, bringing people, languages, culture, and values together. Welcome all to another episode of our online class. Last class, we started the story The Black Aeroplane, and in that story, an English pilot who returned back to England flying an old Dakota airplane, and that flight was flying over France, and he was very eager to reach his homeland. On his way back to England, now he was flying over France. At that time, an unexpected thing happened. What was that? Now to the story. Suddenly, a black cloud loomed over there, and I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to get home. I wanted that breakfast. At first, he decided to return back to Paris, but then he changed his decision. He decided at any cost he wanted to reach his home. Okay, I'll take the risk, I thought, and flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. So I'll decide to take that risk, and that's why he decided to fly straight into that storm. Inside the clouds, everything was suddenly black, and now his Dakota flight airplane inside that dark cloud, that storm, and there everything was suddenly black. It was impossible to see anything outside the airplane. So now he couldn't see anything out of the aeroplane because all around him it was in black color. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. Now the airplane jumped and twisted in the air. I looked at the compass. Compass, an instrument used to find out the direction. And with the help of the compass, I tried to find out the direction, but I couldn't believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. It was dead. Suddenly the compass turning round and round and round and round, and at last it was dead. Useless now. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead too. I tried the radio, and the other instruments also now became useless, and they were also dead. So I tried the radio to communicate with the Paris control tower. Paris control tower, Paris control, can you hear me? So he tried to contact or tried to get in touch with the control tower. He asked Paris control, can you hear me? There was no answer. The radio was dead too. So there was no answer. The last hope, it was also dead. And I had no radio, no compass, and I could not see where I was. So now he was in a very critical point, or in a situation where he had no compass, no radio, nothing there, and he could not see where he was. He was lost in the storm. Then, now, at any time, the flight will come down, and he just prayed. Suddenly, a twist in the tail. What happened? Then, in the black clouds quite near me, I saw another aeroplane. So Then in the black clouds near me, I saw another aeroplane. It had no lights on its wings, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. That flight had no lights on its wings, but I can clearly see that aeroplane quite near my plane. And it flying next to me through the storm. I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. Now I could see the pilot's face, and he turned his face towards me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand and waved. So suppose if we are in a danger situation, that we realize that we are not alone there, then a sort of comfort we will have in our mind. Similarly, here also, in this critical situation, I find another pilot there, now a sort of comfort. And I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand and waved. He lifted one hand and waved. Follow me, he was saying. Follow me, follow me, follow me, he was saying. He knows that I am lost, I thought. He was trying to help me. So he knows that I am lost there. So he was trying to help me. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota. So he turned his aeroplane towards north direction in front of my Dakota, so that it would be easier for me to follow him. Now only I have to follow him. It's quite easy for me. I was very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. So now I was very happy. Just like you, suppose you are in a place in a point where you don't know which way you have to move. Similarly, here the pilot also. Now he was very happy because he only had to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. After half an hour, the strange black aeroplane was still there in front of me in the clouds. Now half an hour passed. That strange aeroplane is still there, that black aeroplane in front of me in the clouds. Now there was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 minutes more. So he was flying with a limited fuel. Only 5 or 10 minutes he can fly because that much amount of fuel left in his Dakota airplane. I was starting to feel frightened again, but then he started to go down and I followed through the storm. Again, I was quite frightened because only 5 or 10 minutes that I can fly. That amount of fuel left in my airplane. Suddenly, the other pilot in that black aeroplane, he started to go down and I followed through the storm. He started to go down and I also followed him through the storm. Suddenly I came out of the clouds and saw 2 long straight lines of lights in front of me. It was a runway, an airport. I was safe. So suddenly I came out of the dark clouds and saw 2 long straight lines of lights in front of me. Yes, it's a runway. The time is night. That's why all lights are on there. Have you seen any runway during night? It's very nice to see 2 straight lines of lights. Yes, it's a runway, an airport. I was safe. I turned to look for my friend in the black airplane, but the sky was empty. I turned to look for my friend in that black airplane, but at that time the sky was empty. No one is there. It's vacant. There was nothing there. The black airplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. Maybe the black airplane was gone. Now I am safe. I could not see that airplane anywhere. I landed and was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. And I went and asked a woman in control center where I was and who the other pilot was, I wanted to say thank you. So after only after landing that airport, I reached the control tower, and there was a lady in that control tower, and I just entered there, and I asked about the place where I landed, and also I asked about that black aeroplane and the pilot to that lady, and said I just want to say him thank you. She looked at me very strangely and then laughed. Having heard all my questions, she looked at me and then she laughed. And at first she looked at me very strangely, just like looking a mysterious or a strange person. Looking at a mysterious person or a strange person. She looked at me and then she suddenly laughed. Another aeroplane up there in this dome? No other aeroplanes were flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar. That was her reply. She smiled and said, another aeroplane up there in this dome? Are you mad? No other aeroplanes were flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar. Radar is an instrument used to find out the position of the airplane and also help them to navigate. Here the lady said, I saw only one aeroplane and that's yours in this radar. No other aeroplanes were flying in this bad weather. So who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or a radio and without any more fuel in my tanks? Suddenly, this pilot, he was totally confused. Who was the other pilot? And where did that black airplane go? And who helped me to arrive this night to reach or to land there safely without a compass or a radio or even without any more fuel in my tanks? Who was the pilot on the strange black airplane flying in the storm without lights? So the question in his mind, who was the other pilot in that black aeroplane who came to help me in this bad weather and he helped me to land safely? Who was that? The story ends with a question mark, ends in a mysterious note. Here the story shifts from miracle to mystery. His landing was a miracle, and the mystery, who the other pilot was and where is that black aeroplane. So we can say maybe it was his fancy or imagination, or even it's the presence of God or something, or even his own inner conflict, his own inner mind created an image of an aeroplane there. Actually, he was escaped, he was landed safely there with his own skills. That's why we have to believe our own skills. Suppose if we are in a critical situation, then only we can escape from that point or that moment. So anyway, it's a wonderful piece of work, a wonderful story, a line between mystery and miracle. That's what I can say about this story. Okay students, last class I asked the question, the airplane stays up because it doesn't have the time to fall. This quote was delivered by Orville Wright. one among the Wright brothers. Orville Wright is the correct answer, and I have got many correct answers, and congrats to all those who sent me the correct answers. And today I want to ask another question. It's about a pilot, and my question is, who was the first female pilot to fly across the Atlantic Ocean? Who was the first female pilot to fly across the Atlantic Ocean? Find out the answer and send me. That's all for today. This is Anish signing off. Thank you and have a nice day.